It was a Tuesday morning in late September, the kind where the Ohio sky hangs low and gray, and the maple leaves on Birchwood Drive have just begun to curl at the edges and let go. 9-year-old Lily Marsh was walking home from school with her backpack slung over one shoulder and her sneakers scuffing the sidewalk, the way she always did when she had too much on her mind. She almost walked right past him. Tucked between two hedges near the corner of Maple Street and Fifth Avenue sat a small, shaggy dog with wiry brown fur, amber eyes, and a faded red collar with no tag. He wasn't barking. He was just sitting very still, watching Lily the way lost things watch people, quietly, with an enormous amount of hope. Lily crouched down slowly, the way her father had once taught her to approach a nervous animal. The dog sniffed her outstretched hand, and then, as if he had made a very important decision, pressed the top of his warm head firmly into her palm. Lily felt something in her chest go soft. "Where did you come from, little guy?" she whispered. She looked both ways down Maple Street. There was no one calling out, no one jogging after him, no frantic owner in sight, just the wind nudging a plastic bag down the empty road and the distant sound of a lawnmower 3 streets over. Lily made a choice the way children sometimes do, quickly, and with complete certainty. She unclipped the small buckle on her lunchbox strap, looped it around his collar, and said, "Okay. You're coming with me." At home, Lily's mother raised an eyebrow but brought out an old mixing bowl filled with water and a handful of crackers. The dog ate carefully, like he had manners, and then curled himself into a perfect circle on the kitchen floor and closed his eyes. Lily sat cross-legged beside him for a long time, watching his small ribs rise and fall, already trying to think of a name. She was leaning toward Biscuit. Her mother suggested they make a lost pet flyer, but Lily was quiet about it in the way she sometimes got quiet when she didn't want to hear an idea. That evening, she took the dog she had decided on, Biscuit, for a walk around the block, telling herself she was just looking to see if the neighborhood felt familiar to him. In truth, she was already hoping it didn't. It was on that walk that Lily noticed something she had never really paid attention to before. At the far end of Maple Street, where the houses got a little older and the lawns a little less tidy, there was a pale blue house with a dark front porch. Hanging from the mailbox was a hand-painted sign, the letters wobbly but careful, missing Pepper, Brown Terrier mix, please call Arthur. Lily stopped walking. The dog, Pepper, apparently stopped too. His nose went up into the air and turned toward the pale blue house with a slow, deliberate certainty, like a compass needle swinging north. Lily looked at the sign. She looked at the dog. She looked at the sign again. A heavy, uncomfortable feeling settled in her stomach, the kind that comes when you already know what the right thing is and you don't particularly want to do it. She walked the dog back home without going to the door. That night, she lay in bed with Pepper curled at her feet, staring at the ceiling. She told herself she would check in the morning. She told herself maybe the sign was old. She told herself lots of things, the way people do when they are trying to talk themselves out of doing what they already know is right. But in the morning, Pepper woke early and went and sat by the front door. Not whimpering, not scratching, just sitting, facing the door, completely still. Lily watched him from the hallway for a full minute. Then she got dressed, clipped the lunchbox strap back onto his collar, and said out loud to nobody in particular, "Fine. Okay. Let's go." The walk to the pale blue house felt longer than it actually was. Lily counted her steps the way she did during hard math tests, just to have something to hold on to. When she turned the corner onto the end of Maple Street, she saw a man sitting on the porch steps, old and thin, with a white cardigan buttoned all the way up despite the morning being mild. He was holding a leash in both hands, just holding it, not going anywhere. His name was Arthur Henley, and Lily didn't know it yet, but he had been sitting on that porch every morning for 4 days. His wife, Eleanor, had passed away 6 months before, and Pepper had been their dog together for 11 years. In the fog of grief, Arthur had left the back gate unlatched, and Pepper had wandered out. Arthur had put up the sign, walked the streets, called the shelter, and then, because hope is exhausting, he had come to sit on the porch and wait. Lily was still half a block away when Pepper stopped dead in his tracks and his whole body began to tremble with excitement, not fear, but the kind of pure, overwhelming joy that small animals cannot contain. He made one short, sharp bark, the first sound Lily had heard him make. Arthur's head came up slowly. Then he stood. Lily unclipped the strap, and Pepper bolted. He covered the distance between them in seconds, launching himself at the old man with such force that Arthur had to grab the porch railing to keep his balance. And then Arthur Henley, who had barely spoken to anyone in weeks, who had eaten cereal for dinner 4 nights in a row, who had not cried because he wasn't sure he had anything left, buried his face in the dog's wiry fur and made a sound that Lily would remember for the rest of her life. Lily stood at the edge of the yard, not quite sure if she should stay or go. Her throat felt tight. She had not expected it to feel like this. She had expected maybe a thank you and a door closing, not this. Arthur looked up at her over Pepper's head, and his face was wet, and he said, very quietly, "Where did you find him?" And Lily said, "On the corner by the hedges. He was just waiting." Arthur invited her in for lemonade, which he made from a can and stirred too fast so it was still a little powdery, but Lily drank it without saying anything. He showed her a photograph on the mantel. Arthur and Eleanor, younger, on a boat somewhere, squinting into the sun, with a puppy version of Pepper asleep across both their laps. He talked about Eleanor for a while, slowly, like someone carefully opening a drawer they hadn't opened in a long time. Lily listened. She was good at listening. When Lily finally stood up to go, Arthur walked her to the door and held it open. He looked at her for a moment with the same kind of careful, weighing look that Pepper had given her at the hedges 2 days before. "You could have kept him, you know," he said. It wasn't an accusation, it was just a fact, the way old people sometimes say things. Lily shrugged and pulled her backpack straps straight. "He knew where he belonged," she said. "I just helped him get there." Walking home, the maple leaves came down around Lily in slow, spinning circles, and the Ohio sky had gone from gray to a thin, watery gold. She thought about Arthur's face when Pepper had run to him. She thought about how sometimes the bravest thing you can do is give something back instead of keeping it for yourself. And she thought that kindness, real kindness, is not about what you receive on the other end. It is about knowing that somewhere, because of you, someone who was very lost is finally, quietly, home.